For us, music is our life. You know, it's everything, and it changed our life.
Four friends who met in high school nearly 30 years ago.
We're the worst band you can imagine.
They beat the odds to reach the top of the musical world.
It's pretty good to be on the cover of Time magazine when you're 25.
But staying there and staying together hasn't always been easy.
It's hard to keep relationships together.
A rock and roll journey, the story of U2.
My name is Bono, and I'm lead singer in the loudest folk group in the world.
14 albums, 130 million copies sold. Sold out concerts around the world. In a popular culture where tastes change by the second, U2 has been a constant presence. The same four band members, together for more than a quarter of a century.
It's hard to keep relationships together, but when you do, they're the most valuable thing in your life.
And the reason why we're all still interested is we believe in it. We know that it works.
From the get-go, we've realized that, you know, we're extremely lucky to be able to do this.
We have an opportunity to be honest with each other and to be brutal with each other. And so you can survive things that most people never survive.
Each member of U2 has his own role. The Edge plays guitar.
Even his mother calls him the Edge, yes.
Edge is one of those extraordinary musicians who can pick up any instrument and make music with it a few seconds later.
He's very methodical, takes lots of notes. He's a scientist and one of the great sound guitarists of his time.
Adam Clayton plays bass.
Adam is sort of the ears of the band. He really picks up on things way ahead of anyone else.
There's no other bass player you could put in U2 and it sound like it does. You know, his touch, his feel is perfect for the band.
Larry Mullen Jr. is the drummer.
Larry formed the band. And to be honest, Larry sort of runs the band in a strange way.
Larry's the difficult one. Larry's the one who says, don't go too far with that crazy new idea.
And the lead singer is Bono.
I've never known such a big overachiever as Bono. He takes all the things that he has and he makes them bigger.
He's an enormously successful persuader and communicator. You know, he's a magic man.
Together, it's a musical partnership and friendship that hasn't always been easy, but has ultimately endured.
You know, we started this as, you know, we joined a gang, and we had very clear ideas about how we wanted it to be and how we would work together.
The gang first formed in 1976 at the Mount Temple Comprehensive School in Dublin, Ireland. A teenage drummer posted a note on the school's bulletin board hoping to start a band.
It's your fault.
It is. I take all the blame for it. Well, I mean, it's the best job these guys have ever had. In fact, it's the only job these guys have ever had.
The first rehearsal took place in the kitchen of the Mullins house.
Larry was 14, Edge was 15, I was 16, Adam was 16. We're just kind of hanging around with each other.
I could play a little bit, you know, I could play a little bit. They couldn't play at all.
I remember Adam as being the one that had the plan. He had all the fancy words like action, fret, and he had a mad afro. He looked like Michael Jackson in reverse. Edge was in the corner being sort of quiet and interesting and moody, as all guitar players should. And Larry was just, you know, just there it was. He was just a star, obviously.
It looked like in that room of chaos, if you could keep time for more than 5 minutes, you were a superstar.
The band started out with the rather appropriate name, Feedback, then became The Hype, before settling on U2. The early rehearsals were rough.
Oh, we were crap. We were the worst band you can imagine.
If you'd seen an early U2 rehearsal, you would you would not believe it. You wouldn't believe that people could survive these kind of rows. I mean, just screaming, just teenagers screaming at each other.
However, the young band stuck it out.
There was nowhere else to go, I think, as well, you know. Like, it wasn't like you joined the band and you put in all this time and, while it's not working, let's go do something else. There was nothing else to do, you know. There was nowhere else to go.
The thing that helped us, I think, was because we really did become very close friends early on. So it wasn't a case of just being a band professionally. We were a band in every sense.
U2 had something else going for the band besides their friendship. Ambition.
We were very lucky in that, blind faith and ignorance was considered an asset in the era of punk.
From the very, very start of it, way back then, you would get the distinct impression that it was a band that certainly were, not going to take no for an answer.
But not only did we come from the north side of Dublin, but we decided we were going to stay in Dublin, Ireland, and take on the world from there. Mad, out of whack megalomania, I would suggest.
But it was a goal U2 would soon achieve. When our story continues, U2 hits the big time, but struggles as it tries to balance rock and roll and religion.
People's faith, and my faith, is very, very important to me.
In 1980, U2 released its first album, Boy. They were barely out of their teens, but their distinctive style and sound were already there.
They looked to me like they were going to be the biggest band in the world. They had a singer who was hungry for contact with the audience, looked in their eyes. They had an exciting guitar player who was playing a very individual style, and they had a rhythm section who could back them up.
What also made U2 unique was its embrace of serious topics, life and death, God, faith, and politics.
They say that the things you shouldn't talk about in polite company are politics and religion. And that's the only thing that you talk about in art.
I'm still no good at talking about it. I'm better at singing about it. They're all, to me, songs of praise to God and creation, even the angry ones.
Faith would help U2 as it struggled to gain a foothold in the music world.
In the early days, it was very important to them because there was all this mad, crazy world out there, and they were this little band who, they could either embrace the rock and roll lifestyle or they could, compact within themselves. And that's the sort of thing they did.
In fact, around the time of its second album, the religious-themed October, Faith almost broke the band up. Bono, The Edge, and Mullen became heavily involved in a charismatic Christian prayer group.
People were saying, do we really want this? This takes a commitment, and the commitment that it takes and the energy that it takes is opposed to, where we want to go in our spiritual lives.
The band decided it could find a balance between religion and rock and roll.
Can the two work together? Everyone decided that they could, and I think they could.